I was surprised to see the message. So far, my understanding of constellations had never increased. I opened Bookmark, but Chuck Jung-young still wasn't added to the list of available people. It might be due to the very slight increase. Perhaps it was a 1% increase. Still, I was full of expectations. If my understanding continued to rise, wouldn't it be possible to imitate the skills of the constellations one day? What is this? I turned to Han Soo-young's voice. The white sky, the precursor of a storm, looking down at me with a disturbing aura. It was a white night. There were intermittent rumbling sounds, and the entire field shook like there was an earthquake. The aftermath of the two warlords colliding scattered all over the plains. However, they didn't kill each other. Everyone, kneel down! A constellation's true voice. I wondered how much probability was consumed to speak these words. Many incarnations who couldn't bear it were struggling in pain. Those who had the protection of their sponsors or those with strong mental powers didn't give in. Han Soo-young was one of them. What's going on? Han Soo-young shouted in a frustrated manner. I watched the field with her. In fact, I thought this might happen, but not to this extent. This is an utter mess. Do they intend to all die together? It wasn't just one or two incarnations who raised their synchronization rate to the limit. The probability led by Dark Castle was exhausted to the limit. Sparks appeared like firecrackers all over the battlefield. Kim Dokja, listen to me. If you do this, you'll die. I heard Bi Hyung's voice coming from somewhere as I looked at the ruined battlefield. There's only one way to escape from fate. Find the force that will protect you, otherwise... There was a sound and Bi Hyung's voice was cut off. Someone was blocking Bi Hyung. At the same time, hundreds of eyes focused on me. They were the upper grade and some narrative grade constellations who maximized their synchronization with their incarnations. I felt the scorching air and gulped. Then Chuck Jung-young spoke for the first time. You must be scared. Nope. Rather, it's fun. I was serious. Many constellations are looking at you. Some constellations are chanting your name. 2,000 coins have been earned as a bonus. Chuck Jung-young spoke again. The wall of fate is high. It's just a high wall. I will break it if I have to. The person who I loved, thus the person who would kill me. I didn't know who they were. Just as I didn't know my own fate, they didn't know me either. Let's go. I ran through the battlefield. This time, I didn't hide my power. I will choose the 5th bookmark, Kyrgios Rodgrain. The moment that bookmark was activated, I triggered miniaturization and electrification. The technique of a returnee. How interesting. I was able to sweep through the battlefield with the power of Chuck Jung-young. However, I shouldn't overdo it. My right arm had almost turned into a rag after using one sword from the 3-sword style. I ran through the battlefield while sprinkling the high-grade physique recovery potion that I had bought from the Dokubi bag. Out of the way. A white trail was left wherever I passed. This was the power of the returnee Kyrgios. The power of the being who exceeded level 10 and gained the power of a constellation left white-blue trails as it passed through the battlefield. Ag! What the... Like a tsunami being split in two, the incarnations fighting each other screamed and scattered. I don't know what you're fighting for, but stop. It was good to raise the ranking to resolve the 9th scenario, but it wasn't good to consume each other in this way. The ugliest king. I heard he was dead. There were incarnations who remembered me. If you know who I am, do you have a grasp of the situation? Some incarnations put down their weapons while others fell back. There were those looking at me with shining eyes. Many incarnations are paying homage to you. Thank you for the 8th scenario. The rumor about your resurrection was real. There were those who remembered how I sacrificed myself when I was the strongest sacrifice. They lightly nodded and willingly withdrew. Your resurrection story is widespread. A new achievement, Meditating Messiah, has been added to your 5th story. I think they were the forces who came from paradise. Yu Jung-hyuk and the party members were probably also included. Then the other side? Oh, nice to meet you again, young man. How did you get out of that array? As expected, they were the wanderers. I asked Lee Boksung, why are you fighting? Why? It's because of you. Lee Boksung. She was the grandmother who had Harbin's sniper as a sponsor. You shouldn't go to the next scenario. Is that what my mother said? Lee Bok-sung rushed towards me without answering. The skill old strength suddenly increased to the grandmother's muscle strength, allowing her to push through the surrounding incarnations like a train, arriving by my side in an instant. Under the banner of the constellation Goryo's first sword, all stats will increase by 10 for 30 minutes. All of your stats have temporarily transcended human limits. I couldn't say that I respected the elderly, but some degree of politeness was required. Still, this time was an exception. I'm sorry, but I won't let you go this time, grandmother. The Harbin Sniper was a sponsor that only showed a strong response to certain constellations. In other words, the current attack power was based on the power of the stories built up by Lee Bok-sung. If so, I wouldn't be pushed. Once all stats exceeded 100 in the electrification state, an enormous power emerged from my body. Lee Bok-sung was hit by my fist and flew away. Stop! Kim Dokja! The forces of the Wanderer surpassed my expectations. It was unbelievable that they had been defeated by Nirvana Salvation Church with such a large force. By the way, there were some strange things among the Wanderers. They were contaminated humans who had been transformed into a demonic person. Unfortunately, I knew this story. Han Soo-young saw it and muttered, Damn it, someone got the story of the third place ranker. Third on the Dark Castle rankings, King of the Dead, Davids. It seemed there was a person among the Wanderers who had killed Davids. King of the Dead was a powerful story that was as powerful as Paradise of Despair. King of the Dead was a skill used to turn the dead into undead to fight. Get ready to run, Kim Dokja. Break through here. Han Soo-young created 10 or more avatars and untied the bandage around her right hand. Black ether focused in her hands, and black flames swept over the battlefield. I ran along the path Han Soo-young made. I overcame the group of demonic people and shook off the Wanderers. Then I saw Cho Young-gran use King of the Dead. As expected, this woman had the story. The first spiritualist of Joseon, she had the mechanical gateway method and King of the Dead. My mother had a truly versatile subordinate. She was taking a magic power potion and looked surprised to see me. Kim Dokja, how did you were caught in the 8-beaded bell's seal. I was a bit troubled. Cho Young-gran gathered her magic power. Maybe this person was currently third on the Dark Castle rankings. Stop and back off. I don't want to hurt you. I can't. There was a sign she was using the mechanical gateway array method again, and I raised the energy I'd kept hidden. Then Chuck Jung-young's strength was released. The constellation, first spiritualist of Joseon, is greatly confused. The mechanical gateway array method was broken and blood flowed from Cho Young-gran's mouth. Sparks flew behind her and a voice was heard. This aura, why are you here? In the end, John Wuchi spoke in his true voice. Then Chok Jong-young replied, Get lost. But you aren't his sponsor. I won't tell you twice. Click. John Wuchi was crushed by the strong difference in status and quickly disappeared. Cho Young-gran was unable to cope with the aftermath of probability consumption and staggered. She could no longer maintain King of the Dead and balance the battlefield started to collapse. No, you can't. Kim Dokja. I ignored Cho Young-gran and ran. I wasn't afraid of any attacks pouring towards me because of Jong-young. The difference in status was huge. After 5 minutes, the center of the battlefield was revealed. It was the place where the most powerful sparks were present. On the field where there was white night, the people I knew were pointing weapons at each other. Han Soo-young ran up behind me and opened her mouth. Your mother's a monster. I wasn't too surprised. My mother would surely be at this level. The information that I knew. My mother was fighting on an equal footing with Yu Jung-hyuk and my other colleagues. An incarnation who could fight evenly against a transcendent didn't exist. Behind my mother's back was the shadow of a giant bear. Poor descendants! I don't want to fight. I had seen Yamato no Orochi descend in the same form on Peaceland. It was the scent of the shadow of Founder's mother. Han Soo-young shook her head as the nightmare of Peaceland came to life. How? Wouldn't the probability be lacking? It's due to the 8-beaded bell. One of the 3 heavenly treasures shown in my mother's hand. The lack of probability was replaced by a powerful relic. If you don't want to fight, then why do you keep hitting us? The shadow of the giant bear swept through the field, causing Li Jihee and Li Hyung-sung to be thrown out. They couldn't stand properly against the destructive power. It was obviously a terrible situation. Tokshashi. Yu Sung-ah recognized me first. Then the other party members approached me. Jung Hee-won shouted first, Dogshushi, talk to your mother. Young, is that person really your mother? Yu-sung. Dogshushi, what is this situation? The words poured out all at once and I couldn't answer. Finally, Yu Jung Hyuk approached me. I guess your mother doesn't like me.